Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the BG Show. I am here to do, I guess you could say, my first angry rant. I already covered in my last video a lot about Batgirl, what happened, but I've been thinking a lot about it, and I'm so annoyed about what's going on Twitter. Let's get right into it. So, people have lost their fucking minds about this Batgirl movie. The discourse has gotten out of control. I don't know what the hell's going on. People are treating like Citizen Kane got canceled. Let's take a step back. I think it's messed up. I feel bad. I sympathize with the actors. It might be a hiccup in their career, but David Zaslav, who's the new CEO of Warner, who took over the company, is just being really targeted, I think, in an unfair way, calling him a white supremacist just because Batgirl was Dominican and the directors of Batgirl were Muslim is a ridiculous accusation to make. Let's take a step back and see why it's ridiculous. His goal as a CEO, regardless, forget comics. I'm as big a comic book fan as you'll ever meet. These are brands. These are assets. Batman is an asset. It's IP. Superman, Wonder Woman, assets. Same thing goes for Batgirl. It's an asset. So, if you want comic book movies, if you want comic book movies to be successful, if you want these movies to have big budgets, you have to protect them as assets. The reason why Iron Man was in a hyped up movie in 2008 is because it isn't a valuable asset. While DC has certainly, let's be honest, shat the bed over the past few years, the thing that they've done is they've always protected Batman. It's always been a valuable asset. It's always provided returns. His right and his obligation as CEO is to protect the shareholders and to do what's best for the financial statements, period. There is not enough analysis and not enough educated people on Twitter who are saying this. And let's be honest, left-leaning Twitter. Now, I'm not some crazy right-wing person. I don't want people to think that. I'm very much in the middle. I have my own thoughts, and my allegiance isn't to anyone, as Boba Fett would say. But I just think it's ridiculous that because you connect two dots, that just because he canceled a movie, that, let's be honest, this movie, $90 million budget, everyone's like, oh, they threw away $90 million. It was a tax write-off. Like, how can you do that? Well, I keep saying take a step back, but I'm going to say it again. Take a step back. This doesn't mean that she can't be Batgirl. I think what you do is, and there's already been rumors of this happening, you say she's our Batgirl for the future. If you're going to establish a 10-year DC timeline, there's going to be a need for a Batgirl. If people aren't familiar with who that is, she's Commissioner Gordon's daughter. Ultimately her biggest, if you want to get the biggest emotional thing pull out of her, the biggest thing that ever happens to Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl in the comics, is during the comic book The Killing Joke with the Joker. The Joker basically ends up sexually assaulting her, and she ends up paralyzed. And it's probably the darkest comic book, or one of the darkest comic books that you could maybe has ever been written. And I'm not saying that they're gonna do that or even have to do that. But if you're gonna take it the Killing Joke route, the last thing you want to do is introduce her character in a cheesy action movie. You want it to be serious. And I think people are being so hypocritical because the same people, everyone's like, oh, DC's struggling. And now they're finally making moves to improve, and now they're being shit on Twitter. It makes no sense. The people who are shitting on them, I think, are hugely Marvel fans who it kind of makes sense that Marvel fans would want kind of a lesser, not kind of more street level, fun movie. I'm not gonna say fun, fun movie. But everyone's like, oh, we want the Nolan movies. Well, if you want the Nolan movies, then you have to let this guy operate. Rebooting this, and let's talk about. I'm all over the place, but let's talk about Michael Keaton. They were gonna throw Michael Keaton into this. That was just gonna muddy the waters. The people really think that. How are people gonna possibly understand that Michael Keaton's Batman? With the Flash movie coming out, you just had Pattinson be the Batman. So I think this is totally ridiculous. It's a totally ridiculous assassination of character, I think, to be honest. And I think it's totally unwarranted. And like I said, it's his right to protect the brands and to make this. If you think it's the wrong decision as a business decision, then fine. People are saying, oh, it's never happened before. Well, to be honest, there's never been a merger like this before. When has there ever been... when has a company like Discovery ever merged with HBO in a way like this? I guess you can say Disney took over Hulu. Yeah, I guess that's similar. But I just disagree with what's going on. And like I said, I think the way to handle it is you talk to the directors and you say, hey, we'll give you a show or a movie in the future. You tell Leslie Grace you'll be our Batgirl in the future. And you tell Brendan Fraser either when we make a movie about Firefly, you're going to play him. And if not, you'll play someone else. Yeah, I mean, you think about how Marvel. I mean, think about how Marvel. I don't think Marvel canceled anything, but when Marvel took over the Fox characters, some people are going to get axed. As a lot of the X-Men, they're all going to get recast. Other than Professor X did the cameo in Doctor Strange 2, they're all going to get recast. Other than Ryan Reynolds, Wolverine's going to get. So it's apples and oranges, but like I said, I think the discourse is out of control. I think he is making the right decision in doing this. It's just not worth the risk. What if DC cannot afford any more bad movies, period? This is the first time that Marvel has been somewhat vulnerable. And yeah, everyone's saying, there's it did. The scores during the test screening were just as good as Black Adam. Bullshit. And first of all, just... The Rock is the biggest movie star in the world. They're not canceling his movie. Like, wake the fuck up. What are you talking about? So, yeah, guys, I guess there really was no point of this video other than me to just rant a little bit about what's going on at DC. And, if people want to get mad that I'm defending the old white, really Jewish CEO, then fine. But... like I said, these are assets. The assets have to be protected. This movie was going to be mediocre. Just swallow the bullet. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with him being a white supremacist. It's ridiculous. And yeah, this is another episode of the BG Show. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.